On this episode of the Clip Service Podcast, Clippers managed to cap off a 4-game stretch with a win, but unfortunately the prior 3 games were losses, one of which was kind of to be expected. The other 2 were probably avoidable, but we're going to get into that a little bit. There's some things that the Clippers need to shore up. Not great games from Norm and Harden, which is going to get this team in trouble, just considering how thin the margin for error is. But there were some positives to take away, so we're going to get into all of that and more coming up. So without further ado, let's make it happen.
What's up, Clipper Nation? And welcome to the Clip Service Podcast. Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, YouTube, and you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at clipservicepod.com. Nick, this was an exciting and also unfortunate week.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's not much exciting about it. Yesterday was exciting. Hey, guys. My name's Nick. My name's Rola. This wasn't contrary to what Rola said, this wasn't an exciting week. I'm gonna just tell you right now. I will say,
we thought it was gonna be exciting, but
we did think it was gonna be exciting. And you know what? Yesterday was exciting for a couple of reasons. One of which would be that Mo Bamba is back. The Clippers have their de facto backup center back. He had one game with the San Diego Clippers, their G League affiliate, played pretty well, and then had his season debut yesterday against the Utah Jazz, a game in which we took the win, which was great because the prior 3 games were losses, unfortunately. So the first of which was the loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was a high-scoring game. No defense being played pretty much all throughout. The Clippers lost 134 to 128 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It just so happened that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has his career high against the Clippers that night with a game-high, career-high of 45. Yeah, that was a bummer. That was a bummer to watch.
It's not shocking.
It's not shocking,
but he's always gonna have a chip on his shoulder against the Clippers. That's just a fact.
For sure. This one, Norman Powell ended up having 31, a team high. James Harden 17 was a -7. Wasn't a great game from James. Really couldn't clean up the turnovers. Zoo had a pretty good game. 14 rebounds, 22 points. 20 points from Derek Jones. This was a good game from him. Terrence was quiet in this one. Chris Dunn had an impact in this one. 8 assists, 9 points coming off the bench. One of the few bright spots from that bench unit. But yeah, this one was tough, and it was hard to watch because I know Rola doesn't like using this excuse, and I don't like using this excuse too much either. But this game was so slow and so stop and go because of the officiating. On both sides throughout stretches of the game, both teams were just getting fouled constantly. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had more free throw makes than he had field goal makes. That was tough to watch. I love Shai, but that dude is a foul merchant. 16 free throw attempts, 15 out of 16 from the line. On his way to 45 points. Lou Dort was flopping all over the place, ended up drawing a bunch of fouls. The Oklahoma City Thunder, bottom line, just played a lot quicker, played a lot more physical. I think the physicality was important for them in this one, especially not having Chet This was the first game that the Thunder had without Chet, who fractured his hip. And everybody thought that, Zoo was going to have a monster game, and he really did have a good game, but the Thunder went small, and it really affected him. They were doubling Zoo, and what stood out to you in this game specifically, Rola?
Yeah, I guess I just don't agree with you, like, on the Shai thing.
He had a lot of free throws. That's just an objective.
I mean, James Harden had 13 free throws just the other day, like 2 weeks ago. I think that's foul baiting is part of the game. You have to learn how to play against that type of play. Sure. And, these are professional basketball players that play this game every single day. You should be able to find a way to not foul this dude, which they couldn't, and he ended up dropping his career high against us. I'm always going to be a fan of Shai. He's Clipper, drafted by the Clippers. If Paul George had panned out, we wouldn't be talking about him the way we do today.
Sure.
But, at the end of the day, Paul George didn't pan out, and Shai looks like a superstar pretty consistently every game. It's bittersweet to see him go off against us, because it's like, well, we saw him as a rookie, like, trying to find his way, and now he's just, like, fully him.
Yeah.
And, it just is what it is. But
it was tough, dude. On the I agree with you, but on that last possession where they were up by 2 with like 20-something seconds on the clock, Chris Dunn plays about as good of defense as you can, had his arms back behind his head. Shai jumps into him, gets 2 free throws, puts the game away. It's just like, it's really hard to, and I agree. It didn't boil down all the way to the free throws, but dude, like, you got to be able to play defense, and when you're getting calls like that, I don't know.
Unfortunately, that's the NBA. They've tried to kind of cut back on that. James Harden is the king of foul baiting, and they was it last season or 2 seasons ago, they really tried to cut back on it. So I don't know, maybe they'll watch this game back and decide to be a little harsher on Shai, but it is what it is. I think my biggest takeaway from this game would have to be the fact that Zoo, he had a decent game, 22 points and 14 boards. But like you were saying, when it comes down to it, I think Zoo is very vulnerable against small ball lineups, because once they stretch the floor, once they bring him out, once they get that switch and he switched onto a point guard, it's barbecue chicken almost every single time. Against centers, Zoo's gonna, he's gonna eat, but against guards, I feel like he always gets torched.
Yeah,
and that's just something we kind of have to work around. I've kind of expressed my anger and passion against Zoo being on the floor against smaller guys, but hey, at some point Ty's gonna learn. So I don't really have anything to say on that subject. But
okay.
I'm gonna bring this up again, bro. Like, James Harden, man, he's been averaging like 33% from the field. Like this entire week.
His shot hasn't been consistent.
He has played like, and I'm gonna be real, he has played like shit. I
wouldn't say he's played like shit, but he hasn't played like James Harden.
But the thing is he shoots poorly. He gets 15 shots a game. He rarely. I feel like he's been getting this 5 out of 15 field goal percentage, like almost every game. He gets hella turnovers, which, like you said, as a starting point guard with as many assists as you get, it's kind of something that comes with the territory. But, I don't know. I feel like a lot of these games can be... There's a different outcome if he, I guess, focuses a little bit more. I'm not a professional basketball player, and I'm not in the NBA. I've never played basketball on that level, so I don't truly know. But it's just like, it just seems like he could be better.
Oh, he can definitely be better. I think that he's being tasked with, carrying a really heavy load.
But he's a superstar, dude. That's why he gets paid the big bucks. He's supposed to carry the big load.
For sure. For sure. But, that's not his role on this team. He took a pay cut. I think that, like, I'm willing to live with it. But you're right. He has to be better. I think from the turnover standpoint, most of all, I'll live with the missed shots because that'll come. I think. Pause. But but I think the turnovers is something he needs to clean up, especially against teams like the Thunder, where they'll punish you with the live ball turnovers. But one thing that stood out to me in this one was what we had kind of been talking about all season: 4 points from Terrence Mann, only 3 field goal attempts, and this is going to kind of segue into the next game. But Coach Ty Lue saw it as well, and it was announced about an hour before the next game, which was a loss to the Rockets, 111-103, that Ty Lue was going to shake up the starting lineup, and Chris Dunn got the starting nod. Terrence Mann goes to the bench, and I'm going to just preface both of these Rocket games. We're going to kind of clump these together and make it quick, but I'm going to preface both of these Rocket games with, I think that Ty Lue has, in these 2 games, coached his best games of the season, and unfortunately they came in losses.
Against the Rockets?
Against the Rockets, and here's why. I think the first thing is, obviously we love Terrence Mann, and we believe, Rola and I both believe that the Terrence that we're used to is going to show up at some point. This is just kind of how it goes with Terrence. Sometimes he'll get in a funk, and he doesn't play up to his potential. But making the decision to move Terrence to the bench and starting a guy who's really been playing well every single game that he's played in with the Clippers and Chris Dunn, that's a tough thing to do. And, it might ruffle some feathers, but it's a decision that you make as a coach. And Ty Lue, that was the first thing that, I liked that Ty Lue did. It sucks as a Terrence stan, but I know that, that it's the right thing just based on the way that Terrence had been playing prior to that. And it paid off. Like I said, we did take this loss, but Chris Dunn came out firing in this one, and he was making an impact immediately. He had like 5 or 6 assists in like the first half, and finished the game with 8 assists, had 11 points, was a plus 11, 2 steals. Foul trouble was really my only knock on him. But yeah, this game, aside from that, also to touch on Terrence had his best game of the season coming off the bench. 14 points, was efficient, 5 for 9, had 9 field goal attempts. Some of those came in garbage time, but was 2 for 3 from 3. That was great, and he caught a lob from, I think, Kevin Porter or from Chris Dunn on the fast break. Like, Terrence looked really good in this one. Both players looked good, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to get it done. Jalen Green hit some really big threes in this one. It was kind of just like a whole team effort from the Rockets. 4 out of the 5 starters in double digits. They got some good contributions. Tari Eason checked in and immediately went for like 7 straight. Amen Thompson was all over the place, was beating everybody to loose balls, grabbing rebounds. But basically in this one, I think it was at some point in the third quarter, Ty basically pulled all of his starters. And we've seen Ty do this before. It led to one of the best Luke Kennard games I've ever seen as a Clipper, where he put a couple years ago, where he pulled all the starters. All of the third string guys come in the game and win the game against the Hawks. It was like a big comeback. Luke Kennard really showed what he was capable of in that game. And those are games where Ty Lue really debuts how creative of a coach he is. And right. Ty Lue catches a lot of flack for taking too long sometimes to make adjustments. But one thing that I can say about Ty Lue is that usually he will always make the adjustment in the end, whether it be 10 games down the road or 10 minutes into a game. He will typically make the right move. And what he did was he put in Jordan Miller, Kobe Brown, put in Bones Highland, and these guys played really hard and almost made it an interesting game. I think they cut it to single digits later in the game. Obviously, the game had kind of been over, but he kept them in and gave them a chance to win the game. Jordan Miller went for 8 in 12 minutes, something that Clipper fans are really stoked about because a lot of people, including myself, are really pushing for some Jordan Miller minutes this season. Him and Kobe really found ways to contribute down the stretch. Obviously, it was kind of meaningless, but I thought that was a really cool thing that Ty Lue did, and he trusted upon his guys that don't get any playing time to contribute, and some of them really showed out. I don't know, what's your opinion on that, Rola?
I mean, I didn't really get a chance to watch that game.
Okay, so you're a fake fan, is what you're saying.
No, man, I'm on the East Coast.
He's
so
just busy. He's also
the hours are a little crazy, bro.
Yeah. I got you.
But I mean, kind of going off from the last podcast, I was kind of expecting us to win these two games against the Rockets, and the first game was a close game, and you expect the Clippers to kind of internalize that and come out the second game and play hard and kind of realize, oh, we know what we did, like that dude on Instagram. I understand it now. Wait, who's the shooting coach? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Lethal Shooter?
Lethal Shooter, bro.
Lethal
Shooter. I understand it now. They didn't understand it, and they got blown out the second game, bro.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unfortunate to see, the fact that they didn't try harder or feel some type of way about losing that first matchup. I mean, it was this was a back-to-back. I think it was either back-to-back or one day apart.
It was. There was one day in between Wednesday and Friday.
Yeah, one day apart. So, I mean, it's fresh on their minds. They practice the next day and come out hard, and they didn't. It's almost like they lost energy, and the Rockets were the ones that came out hard. Like they were the ones that lost, and it's kind of sad to see. But I mean, what about this game? I mean, you talked about last game, Ty Lue's coaching. What about this game? You felt like Ty Lue did a good job in coaching?
I think it was more of the same, and I think so the first game, the box score in the first game doesn't really show. I mean, the Clippers were getting their asses beat. The starters were getting their asses beat by the Rockets starting lineup. Mm-hmm. They would kind of make a comeback, and then they would let it slip away, and it was kind of back and forth. And the bench actually ended up coming in and making it a closer game. But in this game, the second Rockets game, the Clippers, for the first time, like consistently all game, at least from what I can remember, I didn't watch the whole game either. They looked flat on defense. They were leaving a ton of shooters open. Dylan Brooks had 5 threes. Jabari Smith had his best game of the season, found his efficiency, 5 for 8 from 3 from Jabari Smith, a team-high 28 points. And Jabari Smith is good, but he's been struggling, and you can't leave guys open like that. There was just too many miscues on defense, and there wasn't an attention to detail on defense in this one, and that is something that needs to be the Clippers' identity, because we don't have that luxury in offense. We've talked about it before, in one of the podcasts, recently, that the Clippers need to hang their hat on defense and at the very least be a good defensive team. And in this one, the defense was completely shot, and the Clippers just looked slow. I mean, James Harden was actually okay in this one, 21 points, 7 for 14, 50% from the field. Norm was horrible in this one, and it's like I said up top, it's going to be hard. I think Clipper fans, myself included, need to kind of weather their expectations until Kawhi comes back. In regards to, he'll come back. Kawhi will be back, but when Norm and James are having a bad night, it's going to be hard to win a game. Those are our guys that we rely on, very heavily for scoring. Norm was a minus 26 in this game. He was just bad, and it's not any fault of Norm's. He's been awesome this season, but every once in a while he's going to have a bad game, and when that happens, it's going to be very tough for the Clippers to win. Right. There's not really much else to say in this game, but to go back to your original point, Ty Lue kind of did the same thing where he pulled the starters and gave a chance to the younger guys to contribute. Obviously, it wasn't as close of a game, 104 to 125. But if you look at the box score, Jordan Miller was able to show a couple things, and one thing is that he showed is that he is very good at getting to the free throw line. 10 free throw attempts, was 9 of 10 from the free throw line, had 11 points in 10 minutes. He was forcing the issue. This was the first game that Kevin Porter, and he was good. We'll talk about him in the Utah Jazz recap very quickly, but Kevin Porter was really good in this one. 15 points, 5 for 10 from the field, 3 for 5 from the 3-point line. Some of the guys towards the end of the rotation contributed in this one, and that was cool to see. But yeah, aside from that, this was a disappointing loss just because of the effort or the lack thereof that was showed by the Clippers. But the Clippers needed to get a win in the following game, and fortunately enough, they staved off a 4-point losing or a 4-game losing streak and ended up pulling out the win against the Jazz. Clippers led pretty significantly throughout most of this game. Jazz made a little bit of a run at the end. Jordan Clarkson, went crazy as he tends to do. But this game was, in firm control from the Clippers standpoint for most of the time. And this was just a good win. I mean, this is the kind of thing where the Clippers need to put teams away early, and they did.
Yeah.
They had like a 20-plus point lead for most of the game, and they maintained it up until the end. So this was really cool to see. And this was another game where Kevin Porter was actually very efficient. 6 for 9, 0 for 2 from 3, but he was making the right decisions. Had a couple of really nice passes to Mo Bamba for alley-oop dunks. He was just not forcing anything, and that's what you need to see from Kevin Porter, and especially when James Harden is playing, below his averages.
Right.
You need that secondary ball handler, and Kevin Porter has really stepped up in this game and contributed in a big way. Was finding guys like Mo Bamba, and Mo Bamba, to touch on him, I think it's good. It's good to see the Clippers have a. I'm not a huge Mo Bamba fan, but he's better than Kai Jones. And to have a reliable backup that can kind of do different things than Zoo, he can stretch the floor at times and stuff. There's a level of comfortability that it provides to that bench unit. And Mo Bamba was good in this one. 9 points, 8 rebounds. Finished a couple lobs.
They
looked
need to
spry
let Zoo
out
shoot,
there.
bro.
He what?
I said they need to let Zoo shoot, bro.
Yeah, Rola's still on the let Zoo take a couple threes a game bandwagon,
Bro,
and you know what?
Hit him.
I'm kind of here for it. Let's see some chaos Zoo, but yeah, the Zumba center rotation between Zubats and Mo Bamba is in full force, and I think that'll help the Clippers moving forward to have just a guy with size that you can kind of count on, because Kai Jones is just not ready. But 105 to 116 win for the Clippers against the Utah Jazz. Took care of business, and it was a good way to prepare for the second night of a back-to-back, which is tonight in about 30 minutes, against the Golden State Warriors, which we will talk about coming up. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're just going to kind of breeze through the next 4 games coming up on the Clippers' schedule right after this break. Stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back, and we're gonna quickly go through previews for the next 4 games because we do play the Warriors in about 25 minutes. So
yeah.
Speaking of the Warriors, the Clippers will play them tonight. Second night of a back-to-back in Intuit Dome. It's the first or the second game. Yeah, the second game in like a 4-game homestand for the Clippers, which is awesome. We don't have to travel, but. What's one thing that you're looking for, Rola, in this one as we play what is, I think, the best team in the West? Obviously, yeah, definitely in the West, but one of the best teams in the league besides the Cavs, who have not lost a game this season.
I believe Steve Kerr announced earlier today that Steph Curry is going to be playing.
He's going to be playing. Who's out? Oh, Anthony Melton, right?
I have no idea.
Melton and somebody else are out. Oh, Looney. Looney's out.
Oh, Kavan. I mean, that's good for us, but Steph Curry being back is unfortunate, to say the least.
But we have the Dungeon Master, man. We have Chris Dunn.
Bro, I don't care who's on Steph Curry. We all saw him on Team USA, bro. There's nothing can stop that dude.
I don't know.
But, yeah, just gotta, try to play as best of defense as we can and, hope that he is having a bad one. This Warriors team is really rolling, so I think this is going to be a tough one, especially since it's the second night of a back-to-back.
For sure.
What do you think?
I think that this is one that the Clippers can win.
Oh, yeah?
I think that having it the second night of a back-to-back kind of plays in the Clippers' favor. We were able to take a win, and while the Jazz made it a kind of a closer game than it should have been in the end, Clippers are still going to kind of have that juice from last night to carry over. I think the Clippers kind of tend to fall flat when they've had too much time off between games. So I think that this is a good game to kind of jump right into, especially because you don't have to travel. I think cutting the head of a snake with Steph Curry is the biggest thing. Obviously, I think that we have the tools to get it done. With Chris Dunn.
No pun intended.
No pun intended for sure. But yeah, I think that needs to be the focal point. The Clippers catch a break without Kevon Looney, just on the boards alone. I think Zoo can really take advantage of being a force on the glass in this one. But I think the Clippers can win this one, especially we're home. We need to up our home record. So I'm hoping and thinking that the Clippers really have a good chance in this game. The second game will be Wednesday at 7:30 against Orlando at home in Inglewood. Excuse me. The Magic are a tough team to predict because they're without Paolo and they're a younger team. They don't have a great record, but I think that this is a game that's going to be one of those games that's going to be a little bit harder than it seems. I think the Magic play with a ton of energy. They have some really good defenders on that team. So I think that this is going to be one where the Clippers have to come in focused and disciplined. Don't turn the ball over. And actually, the Magic do have a better record than I thought they did. They're tied for third in the East with the New York Knicks at 8-6. But yeah, I mean, you got to watch out for Franz Wagner. Try not to dribble around Jalen Suggs because that dude's having a hell of a year, specifically defensively.
Yeah. And he can go off offensively too.
He can go off offensively as well. But I think that this is one that can definitely be a trap game. And the Clippers need to really take care of the ball in this one because the Magic like to get out and run. They're super athletic, and they're kind of rolling right now, contrary to what I thought initially. So this is going to be a tough one, I think, but we'll see. Having it be at home, I think the Clippers should try and take care of business in this one.
I agree.
Friday is a game against the Sacramento Kings. It's the last game in the homestand at Intuit Dome, and guys, Rola and I are going to be at that game. It's going to be the first game at Intuit Dome for us. We're really excited. So if you guys are going to the game, get at us. Let us know. We'll come say what's up. But we're very excited to see the Clippers ball out. We're going to be. I can't remember where our seats are. Somewhere in the wall. I know that.
We're going to be on the wall.
But so I'm expecting all the Clippers fans to bring their A game. In this one, especially because this is going to be a tough game. The Kings, we've had plenty of experience with the Kings in recent history. They play really hard. Their offense is very good. Their defense, not so much. But
and De'Aaron Fox has been going off recently.
De'Aaron Fox, what was it? The last two games that he played, he had 109 points combined. That's insane. So I think we got to play these guys the same way that we plan on playing the Golden State Warriors tonight, where just get into their guard rotation defensively, try and stop ball, try and prevent De'Aaron Fox. I mean, it's easier said than done, but try and prevent De'Aaron Fox from getting downhill, getting to the hoop. He can hit it from three, but the Kings, as it was shown the last time we played against them, they're not a great 3-point shooting team this season. So just keep them out of the paint. Don't give them second chance points, with Domantas Sabonis on the glass.
Yeah, and they like to push the pace. I mean, with De'Aaron Fox, it's always
they
a risk.
Play really fast. So I mean, and clean up the turnovers. I would love to see a good, efficient game from James Harden. Those live ball turnovers, the Kings really feast on that. Between Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox, they love getting out in transition and throwing down dunks. So, I think the ball security in this one. Obviously the Magic game as well, but in this one as well, it needs to be a premium. And I would love to see James Harden kind of clean up the turnovers. And I would love to continue to see Kevin Porter, take up the mantle of like that secondary ball handler and continue what we saw from him, in that Jazz game, take care of the ball and find ways to contribute. The last game of the 4 games will be away, and that'll be against, our friends over there in Philly, Paul George and the boys. I think that Tyrese Maxey is still out, but they will have Embiid at this point in time.
Sure?
So pretty sure, right?
I think he's taken. I mean, is it a back-to-back for them? I mean,
That's a good
we all know
question.
he's not playing back-to-backs, but I think he's taken like every other game off or something like that
Interesting.
right now.
Okay.
I mean, he did get suspended for 3 games. He's back, but I mean, everyone knows he's taken off back-to-back. So
Yeah, we'll see. I would have to do my homework on that. But I mean, whether or not they have Joel Embiid or whether they do, we need to kind of play them the same way that we played them.
I'm thinking
last
they're
time.
still trash either way, bro.
I mean, yeah, their record is really, really bad, which is kind of shocking to me that they're tied for the worst record in the East at 2-11.
Mm-hmm.
So this has potential to be a very big trap game, probably the biggest out of the 4 games coming up. Obviously, the Clippers should win this one, but this will be in Philly. You know, Paul George will have the home crowd behind him, and he'll be playing for, obviously, kind of like a revenge game. With the booze that he got when he was into it and stuff like that, I think Paul George will come ready to go. So, and Jared McCain, man, that kid is balling out.
He is looking really good.
He didn't really show it in the last time that we played them recently, but since then he's really been, carving out a name for himself in Philly.
Yeah.
So we got to watch out for that guy. Just please do not make this a trap game, because I do not want to hear what Paul George has to say if they take a win and goes on Podcast P and talks about how, like, I'm so happy in Philly. Like, obviously, like, we were able to get the win. We're just as good as they are. Blah, blah, blah.
Bro, they should be better.
Dude, I guarantee that's something he would say, despite having a 2-11 record. So this one is, honestly, I'm the most nervous for this Philly one, just because of the shitstorm that'll happen if we do end up losing it. So the Clippers really need to make sure they win this one. And they should, but we've seen the Clippers drop the ball in the past.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that doesn't happen. I like our chances. I'm not going to make any more predictions, on the upcoming games, but I like our chances in this 4-game stretch. This homestand is really nice, 4-game homestand. The first of
I want to
which
make
we
a
won.
prediction.
Rola's got a prediction.
I think my prediction will be. I think we'll go 3-1 this week.
Who's the loss coming to?
I think we're gonna lose to Golden State tonight.
Okay.
I think we're winning Orlando.
Way to ruin my night already.
I mean, it is what it is, bro.
Okay.
And I think we torch
I do like
Philly.
3-1 though. We torch Philly.
I think we win the game against the Kings just because we're there. We'll be in the
I was
game.
just about to say we better win the game against the Kings because we're gonna be.
I mean,
there.
I think the last time I was at a clip. Oh no, we went to the. Oh, we lost that game. Yeah, last 2 times we've both been at Clipper games. We lost both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry guys if we end up
bro.
losing that Kings game.
Let's just not go, bro.
Yeah, that's
get the
true.
dub,
Yeah,
bro.
let's just return the tickets. Well, it's a new stadium, so maybe it's a different vibe. Yeah, I like 3-1. I'm not gonna co-sign that just because until the Clippers start rolling, I'm not gonna make any predictions. But
Okay.
I'm glad that you are, and I'm glad that it's a positive prediction. So, guys, you heard it here first. 3-1 from Rola, not me. 3-1 stretch of games coming up. So that's something to look forward to if that stands, guys. As we said, we will be at that Friday game. So if you if you're at the game, show up, be loud, bring the
Intensity.
bring the fandom and bring the intensity. And then if you want to meet up or you want to say hi or whatever, just get at us and we'll try and find you guys. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said, it's going to be a little shorter of an episode, short and sweet. We have a lot to talk about, but we will probably have to do that next episode. So stay tuned for that, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, let's go Clips.
Let's go Clips.